Ok, bora lá, galera. Bora continuar. Teve um erro técnico aqui.
Well, when they started firing on the crowds, people thought that was the government doing that. Turns out now there's lots of credible evidence that the Nazis were doing it.
Eles que começaram um tiroteio no meio da multidão e o povo pensava que era o governo, mas na verdade eram eles, os nazistas ucranianos.
Like now, some left wingers, like Bowl Foundation and so on, they're trying to count numbers to diminish. So the reason why they're doing that is that now the West doesn't want to recognize the Nazis in Ukraine because it's bad for them. It's a bad.
E agora ele está reclamando e está falando que agora eles não querem reconhecer os nacionalistas. Eles que ele fala são algumas fundação e o oeste, no caso o ocidente.
And this guy's saying something like, there were that many nationalists. They had that much influence. If not for the nationalists, that whole thing, meaning the coup, would have turned into a gay parade. That's what he said.
E ele ainda zomba dos caras, ainda se não fosse os nacionalistas, toda a coisa, ele está se referindo ao golpe militar que eles deu, teria sido um desfile gay.
So okay, so now there's more. Max, you want to comment on any of that?
Well, let's keep it rolling.
Okay, so here's more. He says we were now been given so much weaponry, not because some say the West is helping us. So they've been given all this weaponry from the West, and some say it's because they want to help you.
E agora nós estamos ganhando vários tipos de armamento. Não porque o Ocidente estão ajudando eles.
Says, no, that's not why. He says not because the West wants the best for us, but because we perform the tasks set by the West.
Aí ele confessa que não é porque o Ocidente está ajudando ele, mas está preocupado com eles. Mas o Ocidente está ajudando eles porque esse foi a performance deles da tarefa deles foi, como se diz, bem sucedida.
Because we are the only ones who are ready to do them. Because we have fun. We have fun killing, and we have fun fighting.
Aqui ele está dizendo que eles são as únicas pessoas que podiam fazer isso. E porque eles têm capacidade de matar e capacidade de lutar.
And they're like, wow, let's see what's going to happen. And that is the reason for the new alliance, Turkey, Poland, Britain, and Ukraine. So he's saying...
E agora ele está falando de uma nova aliança. Preste atenção onde essa coisa vai. Entre Turquia, Polônia, Britain, Inglaterra e Ucrânia.
We're starting this whole new thing. There's going to be a whole new power alliance, and it doesn't rely on NATO. We are the flagman here because we have started a war. He's taking credit for starting this war with Russia. We have started a war that it's not...
Agora está vangloriando porque são o homem da bandeira que começou essa guerra.
Not been seen for 60 years. So imagine how many weapons we have, how many veterans that we have.
Imagine o tanto de arma que nós temos, imagine o tanto de veteranos que temos.
And imagine Russia falls apart and it turns into 5 different Russians or something like that.
Olha o plano dos caras. Imagine se a Rússia cair e for dividido em 5 diferentes partes.
Have the most javelins on the European continent. Maybe only the UK has more javelin missiles than they do. The potential of those armed forces will immediately become a problem for all those who oppose us.
E agora ele está batendo no peito e ainda está falando. Talvez nós temos mais os lançadores lá do que até as próprias pessoas que doaram para eles todas essas armas. E agora eles têm um problema na mão. Olha o que o cara está falando. Preste bem atenção.
For all those who are trying to give us problems, it is our joy and our sorrow. You need to understand why. Yes, it is hard, not because we are Ukrainians and our asses suffered for 300 years.
Problemas atrai problemas. Isso é muito duro. Mas não porque nós somos ucranianos e sofremos por mais de 300 anos. E aqui ele fica imitando a voz, fazendo piadinha com a cara do povo ainda.
Why finally everything good, not just given to us? We are such good people. So he's mocking people as being crybabies saying that. And so, but the real reason he says, and he said, oh, those people, we want to join Europe. He doesn't want. This is what he says. No, we are a huge, powerful state. And if we come to power, it will be both joy and problems for the whole world.
Olha pra você ver o que o cara fala agora. Ele zomba na cara dos caras que estão junto nessa empreitada e ainda fala que eles são os bebezinhos chorão e eles não querem entrar na União Europeia. E ele põe ali. E se nós subirmos ao poder, nós vamos ser um problema para o mundo. Nós dois vamos ser will be both join the problem. O trem é mais sinistro que a gente pensa. Vamos ser um problema para o mundo todo.
Therefore, it is a huge, ambitious task. We live in a very cool time. I don't know what this translation means.
Nós vivemos um momento ambicioso. Nós vivemos num tempo muito bom.
Weird translation. We live in a very cool time. And that is why there is an extremely ambitious, cool goal. See, I don't know what that means.
E é por isso que nós temos uma ambição extrema em fazer isso.
Not just become part of a European family that has already collapsed. This is
Não é porque nós fazemos parte da União Europeia. Isso ela já está colapsada.
about new political alliances on the global level, new political challenges. So let's just recap what he said. Ukraine is being armed as pawns of the West because we have fun killing. We have started a war. We have the most javelins on the European continent,
Javelins.
and the European family has already collapsed, and Maidan would have been a gay parade if not for the Nazi influence.
Viu aí, galera? Preste atenção.
And so that guy's the leader of the C-14s. The C-14s was started as a youth wing of the Svoboda Party, founded by Ole Tenehambach. Is that how do you say his name?
Ó, o líder do C4. Esse cara que é o líder deles. Eles assinaram o acordo em Kiev do governo de patrulha das estradas, das ruas, né, dos bairros. Meses depois, começaram a campanha, o programa contra os romenos, contra os romenos.
Jambach. And he's pictured there. Here he is shaking hands. So this guy, who's big neo-Nazi, shaking hands with this guy, who's our president.
Olha com quem que ele tá, com Joe Biden. Foi ele que assinou, quando eles foram assinar lá em Kiev. O acordo de Minsk. O líder nazista com Joe Biden. Eles foi e assinou esse tratado de Minsk. E depois fizeram onde fizeram a milícia deles, fizeram o patrulhamento das ruas, e lá vivia muitos romenos, gypsies são ciganos, e espancava os romenos, matava, coisa de louco, mano.
C-14 signed an agreement with Kiev city government to patrol its streets in early 2018, and what happened? 12 months later, it began a campaign of pogroms against Romani camps. So that's gypsies, right? And so they're going around killing them.
They're beating them, and it was sort of an official city program that they went down to the train station or the train tracks and just pepper sprayed a bunch of very destitute Roma people and chased them away and brutalized them.
So let me just say, C-14, the 14 in C-14 refers to the 14 words coined by American neo-Nazi David Blaine, and those words are, we must secure the existence of our people and future for white children. So, so the neo-Nazi Svoboda Party was co-founded by that guy I just showed you shaking hands with, Joe Biden, and a guy named Andriy Parubi, who served as the chairman of Ukrainian parliament from 2016 to 2019. So do you see?
Olha aí o que o cara fala. Ele serviu no parlamento de 2016 a 2019. Ele deu as boas-vindas ao Biden.
So you see where I'm getting at when I start throwing around the term neo-Nazi intertwined with their government, and was welcomed at the U.S. Senate by Joe Biden's foreign policy man, Michael Carpenter. And here, this is from The Nation from 2019. 5 years ago, Ukraine's Maidan uprising ousted President Viktor Yanukovych to the cheers and support of the West. Politicians and analysts in the United States and Europe not only celebrated the uprising as a triumph of democracy, but denied reports of Maidan's ultranationalism, smearing those who warned about the dark side of the uprising as Moscow puppets and useful idiots. Freedom was on the march in Ukraine. So anybody who pointed this out was called a Putin puppet and a useful idiot, just like anybody who said Russiagate was garbage. Today, increasing reports of far-right violence, ultranationalism, and erosion of basic freedoms are giving the lie to the West's initial euphoria. There are neo-Nazi pogroms against the Roma, rampant attacks on feminists and LGBT groups, book bans, and state-sponsored glorification of Nazi collaborators. Post-Maidan Ukraine is the world's only nation to have a neo-Nazi formation in its armed forces. The Azov Battalion was initially formed out of the neo-Nazi gang, the Patriot of Ukraine, and here it is. That's their symbol.
Tá aí, galera. O cara explica tudinho. Ele foi, buscou, investigou e trouxe. Isso aqui dá até documentário. A verdade é essa. Aí ele tá mostrando o símbolo dos neonazistas lá. E é isso aí, então. As pessoas ficam aí vendo televisão, não procuram se informar. Aí fica nisso aí. Levantando bandeira que não lhe cabe.
Arsen Avakov, the new Minister of Internal Affairs of Ukraine, after the overthrow of Yanukovych's government, he issued in April 13, 2014, a decree authorizing creating the new paramilitary force from civilians up to 12,000 people. So, and then what happened?
Em abril, 13 de abril de 2014, foi autorizado a criação de um novo grupo paramilitar, a forças paramilitar, usando o civil nos casos aqui. Um número de acima de 12 mil pessoas.
Well, initially a volunteer militia, formed as the Azov Battalion, May 2014, during the 2014 pro-Russian unrest in Ukraine. Azov has since been incorporated into its arms by Ukraine's Ministry of Internal Affairs, just like I told you. The Azov Battalion is a far-right, this is from Military Wikipedia, is a far-right, all-volunteer infantry military unit forming part of the military reserve of National Guard of Ukraine. And its first combat experience was recapturing Mariupol from the pro-Russian separatist forces in June 2014. All members of the unit are under contract of the National Guard of Ukraine. The Azov Battalion has been labeled neo-Nazi patriots, a far-right Ukrainian militia. And so they're officially a part of their military. This isn't a secret. Andy Beletsky, the gang's leader, who became Azov's commander, once wrote that Ukraine's mission is to lead the white races out of the world in a final crusade against the Semite-led Untermenschen. Beletsky is now a deputy in Ukraine's parliament. So again, there's a lot to this accusation of neo-Nazis being in Ukraine, military and government. Beletsky is also the head of two neo-Nazi political groups, the Patriot of Ukraine and Social National Assembly. In August 2014, he was awarded a military decoration, Order for Courage, by Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko, and promoted to Lieutenant Colonel of the Interior Ministry's police forces. Do you see what I'm talking about now? Okay. So let all the other asswipes deny this, but we're here to report it. On June 11, 2015, and you know how
Você viu aí. Que além deles fazer a Guarda Nacional, os neonazistas O cara ainda subiu ao poder na política, era um deputado. E ainda tinha dois grupos nacionalistas.
Super no, these are real neo-Nazis because our own House of Representatives admitted it. In 2015, the U.S. House of Representatives passed amendments blocking any training of Azov by U.S. forces, citing its neo-Nazi background as the reason. And on June 26th, the Canadian Defense Minister declared as well that training by Canadian forces or support would not be provided to Azov. So this is our own governments admitting that they're Nazis, and they now deny it. Patrons of the battalion included Ola Lishavka and members of the Rada and Villeneuve. There's one more. While the group officially denies any neo-Nazi connection, Azov's nature has been confirmed by multiple Western outlets. The New York Times called the battalion openly neo-Nazi, while USA Today, the Daily Beast, the Telegraph, and Haaretz documented group members' proclivity. How do you say that word? Proclivity for swastikas, salutes, and other Nazi symbols. And individual fighters have also acknowledged being neo-Nazis. So I'll be bringing Max, so I don't know how much else proof that people need, but people will still deny it.
Tá aí então, galera. É bem pior do que a gente pensa, né? Eu me admiro várias pessoas aí, só passar notícia pra frente de qualquer jeito e não procura saber a verdade. E já tomam nada. Isso que nós temos que aprender. Observar, escutar com calma e rever a história. Porque a história conta muito mais do que o pessoal de mídia e os governos tentam passar para nós. Não é verdade? Fica aí a dica então.